Thanks, Steve. I don't know if they would have known about the greys if you hadn't pointed it out, so I appreciate that. Although I probably got off lightly compared to Mr. G. Thanks everybody for coming along today and giving me the opportunity to tell you a little bit about our story. Thanks too to Sam and the great team at RDA for putting on today. It's great to have an event that's in person and be able to see everybody face to face, even if there's some weird elbowing going on. It's really great to be here. So the Ribbon Gang story is as old as legend. It's captivating, revolutionary, and not for the faint-hearted. Pushing boundaries and creating the impossible. That wasn't the Outlaws, by the way, that's us. But for anybody that's not aware, the Ribbon Gang was a real gang, bigger than the Kelly Gang in the 1830s, that rose up. There was about 150 members, and they roamed around the Central West here. The way they came about was that they threw off the shackles of society and, rose up against the tyranny of the government at the time after having a cheeky little skinny dip in the river and getting caught and then copping 50 lashings and a lifetime in prison. So, I don't know, there's some right and there's some wrong there, but we like to go with that part of the story, not the robbing and the shooting part. So we chose our name Ribbon Gang at the end of last year. I can't believe it's been 12 months now, but as Steve mentioned, we've had a pretty fortunate and pretty exciting and fun journey over the last 5 years since we've been working in the Central West and we set up shop, and that's what I'll talk to you about today. But as we continue to grow, I guess we always wanted something that really tied us to the Central West. Like Andrew, like Steve, we too are big advocates for the Central West and business and opportunities that come out this way. And we really wanted to make sure that, wherever this journey ends up taking us, that we always have some sort of little Easter egg that ties us to the Central West. Not that we plan on moving anywhere, we're just hoping to pull more clients out this way and do more business and continue to grow. So we've got a desk here in Orange now, we've got the office in Bathurst, there's a studio in Lithgow, and we do a bit of work in Sydney, so it's pretty exciting. But at the heart of what we do, we strive to create the impossible. And what that means is, creating the impossible is a bit of a frame of reference really. If you're a bricks and mortar store, and I implore anybody here today that knows someone or has a business that isn't online to heed Andrew's advice and look at getting online, because there's so much opportunity there. There's so much low cost, efficient ways of getting your business out there, getting sales, doing all that sort of thing that's at your fingertips at the moment. So take full advantage of that. And I guess for us, creating the impossible for our clients, it might be that store that, sales have slowed down, there's not as much foot traffic passing by, and now selling stuff overseas. They may not have considered that to be something that they could have done. Likewise, for ourselves, we put the 270-degree immersive room in the National Motor Racing Museum last year, which was pretty fantastic. It required all of the resources and some external resources coming together. We bought all the equipment locally and installed it locally, of course, in Bathurst at the Mount. But what it meant was that we got to shut down Mount Panorama for 3 days, which it is federal law that you can only do that 4 times a year, I think, so they had to write and get special privilege to do that. We rolled out all the old cars and we filmed them going around the track in a hot lap. And we cut that together and you can sit there in a 270-degree immersive room, watch this hot lap as it unfolds, which is, for us, certainly something that was impossible at the time. So, I'd encourage everybody to go check that out. But B, really, sings true of what we try to do day to day. And I think for anybody trying to start a business, if it's your first one, then you're creating the impossible. You haven't done it before, you don't know what to do, you don't know who to talk to. So it's very much, that same sentiment is shared. So a bit about what we actually do, other than filming race cars. We do a lot of test. How's that? Better? I just must be the speaker. Can you hear me at the back? I can project. Just. Here we go. I joked with Alvaro that I did acapellas warming up. I didn't. I'll just keep doing an hour on a timeline. So we'll start waving minutes at me in a second.
Testing.
That's working.
It's coming from over there. Anyway, keep going, Josh. So we do media buying for clients, which is purchasing TV or radio, that sort of thing. We do website design development, as I mentioned. We do social media, huge, broad-ranging service offering, which I think is, in part of the journey that we've had so far and the success that we've experienced is that, when David and I started out part-time working some other jobs and someone said, hey, can you do us an animated logo? I'm colourblind to start with, so the greys stand out, but also there's no way I could animate a logo back then, but we worked it out, we spoke to someone that could, we brought them into the team, and then we started producing animated logos. Again, creating that impossible, really important there, just having a bit of a can-do attitude and approaching things with an open mind. So there's a wide range of services that we do there, and it's just through that process that we do it. So I should face this way. But I guess, obviously, I'm here today to talk about being an entrepreneur. Not that I often call myself that, but it started at the pub, like all good businesses. A few too many drinks and a bit of gusto, and then you buy a domain, and then next day you get the bill for it. You're like, oh, geez, my head hurts. I wish I didn't buy that. But then the reason we did it was because I was living and working in Sydney at the time. David was living and working on my floor, and we just, to be honest, expenses run high in the city. We weren't making much money, and we just got sick of it. So we thought, why not try and be our own boss for a while? And in all earnest, I didn't actually think it was going to work. I gave myself 12 months. The company in Sydney said, yeah, you can move back to Bathurst. This is pre-COVID, obviously, so they were pretty forward-thinking in letting me work remotely. But yeah, I only really gave it 12 months, and then by the end of that 12 months, there was no way I was going back either. So, a few drinks and a bit of confidence goes a long way, but I think the point is just to get started, the fact that we, bought that domain and then leads to another discussion, and then you talk to somebody else. Things start to happen when you have that discussion, and a coffee's a couple of dollars and the conversation's free. So, unless you're talking to a barrister, but former barrister, yeah. But I guess a couple of the key takeaways that I thought I'd talk about was just that shoot for the stars, and you'll probably hit the moon. And you never, rule one, you've never been to the moon, so it's not such a bad thing anyway. And that just goes into, having a go, getting started. Steve mentioned that we were involved in setting up a startup space in Bathurst, and the only reason that came about is because when David and I were working part-time, trying to hustle a few clients and get some traction, we rented an office space in a refurbished flour mill in Bathurst that was still being refurbished at the time. It was incredibly hot. This was cool on a cold day in that room, I can tell you. And, the space was enormous. We had about 100 square metres, and there was only ever one person there anyway. We're literally buying things just to try and fill space. Oh, that looks professional, we'll keep that, That was ridiculous, but anyway, you learn. But in doing that, we thought, well, surely there are other people out there that are going through the same challenges, so maybe we could get a few more of them in. We can share our ideas, overcome these obstacles, and build the businesses together. And then, lo and behold, about 3.5 years later, we had Upstairs, which is an amazing journey, an amazing space to be part of. And if anybody wants any advice or assistance, I know there's Hive here in town too, which is an amazing facility. And there's other places in the Central West that do it, but go along to them and really, you get out what you put in. So contribute, ask questions. There's no such thing as a dumb question. I just disclosed that we're putting furniture in there because we made it look professional. So I doubt you're going to ask it or say something stupider than that. But the second part also is just to find your true north. I think that's really helped us over the years. We did a business plan which is ridiculous to look back at now. But we put it together at the time, really early on. We decided, well, this is where our services are and this is where we think we can make some money, so let's have a go at that. Shoot for the stars, hit the moon. I look back at it about 2 years after that, and we'd actually, not that I went back and looked at it again very often, but we'd achieved exactly what was laid out in that plan. It was unbelievable. So, figuring out what it is you're doing and how to get there, even if it is just putting it down on paper once, like that, I don't know, just subliminally, it just runs in the back of your mind and it guides your direction, and it's an amazing bit of advice that can help you during those times. So, find your true north and put it down, figure out what it is you're doing, and then, you just start to work backwards, solving the problem of getting your business going. Separately, does that just change the speakers? Test? No. Testing? No. The other one is be prepared to pivot. I don't necessarily like the word, but it's exactly what you've got to do. Our Hive BI data analytics tool that we built came about because somewhere like here at the Services Club, we built hospitality software to capture information and forms at the Bathurst RSL, which I was working at whilst trying to get our business up and running 5 minutes ago, almost at the end. And we called it Shift Report because I was on a shift and this was a report for it. Pretty simple. Fortunately for us, we hammered a bit of SEO with our background in advertising and website development. And then Lion Nathan, the alcohol company, who also owned a dairy component of the business, picked us up online, asked for a shift report. We said it's for hospitality. They said, we don't care, can you make it for warehousing? And then, bang, we picked up a Lion Nathan dairy, not alcohol, unfortunately. I've got to stop talking about drinks. So, the point there is that, we built this software, we had these grand dreams of this thing scaling up and all the clubs in New South Wales and Australia having it. They never bought it, but then we just adjusted the form slightly, the warehousing started using it, and now we're in a number of sites across Queensland and northern New South Wales. So, being able to pivot is huge, hugely important. I guess you can...
Test. Hey. I'll try not to yell. Pivoting in your business has been so important to us, and I guess there's a lesson in there to do it for yourselves. Whether there's a particular product that you don't like but it's selling a lot, then advertise it, sell more of that. And again, I don't think that anything we've done is particularly rocket science. It's just here's an opportunity, take it. Here's a problem, solve it, which makes it sound easier than it is. But it's led to us working with a number of amazing clients over the years. And we've done all that from Bathurst. So, like has already been discussed as well, I hate it when people from Sydney say, oh, you're from Bathurst, what do you do out there? Like, or an advertising agency. Oh, like TV and print stuff. You're like, no, actually, everything you do that's better and cheaper. Why don't you come out of here and say that? But like Reliance Bank is an amazing organisation. They do cladding. They've been in the news a bit, but they do cladding on the largest building in the southern hemisphere. And they're based out of Lithgow. Down there in Melbourne. Thunderbird, Airbnb we did a video for. Just like, I'm not trying to blow it up here, but I'm just saying that, you can do these things from the Central West, from, your bedroom or wherever it is. And it all just starts by taking the opportunities, listening to what people need, and be willing to have a go. There's Grant Denya, also from Bathurst. So I think I've only got a minute or two. Ultimately that's led to, we haven't done all these things, but we've been involved in a number of different startups, which has been awesome. And I love doing marketing and advertising because I get to listen about other people's businesses, which is probably quite fortunate because then I hear how they've solved problems. But it also means that, or has now led to me loving being involved in starting up businesses. So to that extent, we've got the advertising agency. There's a tech hub in Bathurst, which we're involved in setting up and running. There's a cafe in there, there's a co-working space, there's the startups, film, studio. It's really just a great deal of fun, to be honest, and I love doing it. I guess ultimately what it also boils down to, once you sort of get a bit of traction, is just the team that you build around you. I heard a really good saying once that hire somebody that makes you look good, and I strongly think that is the best bit of advice I think I ever got. All the guys up there. That's David in the middle. He's got less greys than me, that's why we put him at the front. But everybody in the team that works in and around us, they're amazing operators. They've all got their different skill sets. They've all got their different personalities. But as a team, we come together really nicely, and I think that's been a huge part of our success as well. So, always putting those guys front and centre of everything that we do is hugely important. So, that would be my other bit of advice there. If anybody's got any other questions too, we're just based in Bathurst. We've got a desk here in Orange, as I said. Happy to have a chat, even if it's just to have a coffee, or a beer, or a wine, whatever it may be. At the station, it's pretty nice. yeah, happy to have that chat. And as I said, it doesn't cost anything, and it's really where you get started as far as trying to start your own business. So thanks.